think we might be. Mama, you heard me. You, I needed you. What did you need me? Shalom, everyone. We will be beginning shortly. Are we here? Is it just me, or do you hear an echo?
It's just
the voices in my head. Hi, Neshama.
Hi, brother.
Soul sister.
Holy soul brother.
We are here on Erev Shavuot, May 27th, however many weeks and months into quarantine land, sheltering in place. And I am so privileged, really privileged and overjoyed to have the sweet soul singer of Israel, Neshama Carlebach, in for an episode of, a rabbi and a blank walk into a Zoom. Welcome, Neshama.
Thank you. It's awesome.
We've done so much preparation for this moment in time, but I want to begin.
I think we
say it again.
Not talked at all until this very moment.
I have a question for you that will, we'll start like with like gentle, easy things. What's it like to show up in any gathering and someone undoubtedly having a strong feeling about you or your name or what you represent?
How is that for me?
Yeah, what does that feel? What does that feel like?
I'm sad to say that I'm really used to it, and it's incredibly awkward and has been my entire life. Because you're so good. Look at that question. You just start right away.
I said we're not going to go. We're not going to do the. We're just going to go straight into it.
Go in. No, just jump in. No matter what it is that people feel about my family, no matter what whatever their impression is, it's usually not true. But then I have to do that Carlebach, Gewalt, smile, where I listen with compassion and comfort them undoubtedly about something that is clearly my problem and not theirs, and give them all the love, and then of course bless them. And so I'm really, really good at kind of looking like I'm in the moment, and it's a really awkward thing my whole life. And I think as I get older, I am more and more aware of how talented I am at navigating those moments, and more aware of how much I resent them.
Mm-hmm.
Actually.
You when you say your whole life, you remember always having to do that in some capacity?
Oh yeah, big time.
Where did you grow up? Where does the story of Neshama begin?
Well, I was born in New York.
Okay.
I was born on Simchat Torah, between Chassan Bereshis and
that's how it appears on your birth certificate, by the way, right?
Oh, totally. And it was so very convenient for my dad, who could leave shul, have a baby, and then go back to shul. that's where he most wanted to be. I was born very quickly, and so yeah, that was my birthday. And actually, let's be honest.
Davening doesn't take so short a time at the shul. Oh, so the truth is, it could
have been worse. And then he just would have left anyway. Because you can't miss mincha on Simchas Torah. God forbid. So born in New York, until I was about 5, I thought Simchas Torah was my birthday and that the world was celebrating me because he used to pick me up in the thing and it's my daughter's birthday and everyone would dance for a really long time and I was sure it was about me. So that was like my first rude awakening into the world. Like, oh my God, it's not about me. This is an actual holiday. Ugh.
But I feel like that's also just an incredible model of Jewish like education for parents. Like that's what every kid should feel like when they're celebrating Simchas Torah. Like it's the joy, the utter joy that would come from a parent celebrating their kid's birthday. I love that.
Um,
Even if
okay,
you
no,
didn't mention, even if you didn't mention it was like, a yontif.
I like that very much. I like that interpretation.
Okay.
I like that. I'm going to hold on to that. Yes. Then
And
we
so
lived in
you were,
New York.
and then you moved.
We moved to Toronto because New York was a very scary place in those days. Not at all the love-in and shul land that it is now. The Upper West was not that. And so my mom was from Toronto, so we moved back. And the declaration was to my father, you can visit us there just as easily as you visit us here, because he was never around. And I grew up in Toronto, but traveled constantly and ran around constantly. We had a presence in Israel, so we were there a lot. And it was constant motion, my life. I don't feel like I was ever really grounded in one place. There was a part of me that was always in the Moshav. That was my, as a child, where I wanted to be most of all. And we kind of floated around. Went to school in Toronto, but that was just kind of an inconvenience. We had to go to school. We knew we had to go to school, so that's where we were. But the joy lay in the crazy adventures we would have as we traveled the world.
So Shabbos growing up was there Shabbos growing up? What was that like?
So in my mom's house, because really my mom was the one who raised us, most of the time my father was not around. Um, we would sometimes go to shul. There was an Orthodox shul very close to our home in Toronto, so sometimes we would go. We were active. We would do like little theater shows there, and we were very involved with the youth stuff. And then sometimes we would stay home and do facials. We were very big on facials in my family. People often ask me, what do I do with my skin? It's constant facials, and I've been doing it since I was like 10 years old.
Amazing.
Egg yolk, forget it. Like the avocado, like that's what we would do. With my father, it was mayhem. It was just us and 4,000 of his closest friends, and people never leaving, and people just like, craziness. It's crazy, very crazy, and very dramatically different. Very quiet when we were with my mom's house. It was a clean home, laundry, happiness, calm. We would read a book with my father. It was like people were just, I feel like people were always screaming. Was it my own screaming in my own head, or was it everybody around me? I don't know. Constant motion. My father, when we were in Israel, the men would come, and it was always the men. It was obviously women were very separated, but they would come and they would all line up, and my father would like literally cover all of them in cologne. Do you know about this?
No. What?
Like cover, because he was like so big on cologne, and the whole house would reek until the next week, which was probably
It,
because a lot of them really probably needed it. So maybe it
it
was
was
like,
it was like a reach nichoach. Reach nichoach. It was like a special Shabbos spice.
you can go to the mikvah or you can go to Shlomo's house. Just like, yeah, that
Wow.
was great.
And were you always a musician? Were you always singing, or did that come at a later point in your life?
I always wanted to be on stage. I was sure for most of my life that I was going to be an actor, you know. And I was very, very driven from a very young age. I was doing singing lessons, dancing. My mother, bless her, schlepped me like, all over over the world. And then even on Shabbos, we used to walk. I remember walking in the sun, rain, snow, blizzard. We were walking to my long rehearsals. I think I was in Trojan Women like 38 times. And my beautiful mom sat through the whole thing. She helped me costumes. I was
Mm.
very big on stage. Never in my life did I think I was going to be entering the world of Jewish music. I was very serious about my crafts, and I was very committed to my training on all the levels. I wanted to be on Broadway. I wanted to dance. I had all these things figured out. And when I finally graduated high school, I went to theater school for a year and a half, and then I ended up leaving. But it was like, fame. I'm dating
Wow.
myself, but like the whole like all the dancers on the in the lunchroom on the tables. That's I wanted that more than anything. I wanted to be in that world with the artists and with the freedom and with just the open-heartedness and the space where people were loving each other and expressing deep, deep truth, without any veneer, without any mask. That's what I wanted
Mm.
more than anything.
And so why did you leave that world? You were there for a year, you said, or a year and a half in school?
I don't think I've told this story publicly yet, but I was in theater school. It was like my dream. Like
Where were
I
you in
can't,
school?
in Ryerson Theater School in Toronto.
Okay.
And it was all I ever wanted. I didn't want anything else. And then literally one day, I don't even know why, I woke up and I was like, I have to be with my father.
Mm.
And I said to my mom, I'm dropping out. It was in the middle of second year. And she's like, that's insane. How can you drop out? Finish the year. My professors, and I had like all of my, being in high school and doing theater, it's a very different world. When I got in there, I really had to wake up and see all the places that I needed work. And I was really blessed with deep teachers who really showed me the mirror, and I was really like, I was at the gym at 4 a.m. I was so serious. I was like in it with all of me, and I still don't know why, to this day, why I decided to drop out, but I was as committed to dropping out as I was to staying in. And I had to be with my father. The day after I decided to be with my father, he was on stage in Israel, and somebody, probably inebriated, smashed into him and dislocated his shoulder. And he was in a tremendous. That was it was December of 1993. So 1994 was his last year of life, and he went through that entire year not playing guitar with a dislocated shoulder. And so I decided to drop out of school, but then it was like, okay, I was carrying all his stuff, and he carried that guitar
Mm.
everywhere he went, even though he couldn't play it.
Mm.
And I became his little watchdog. And I say that with a lot of respect to me. I followed him, I took care of him, I stood beside him, I sang with him,
Mm.
I learned from him, and then he died. And when he left the world, I took his shows for a million reasons, but that's when my career, that's when I began this work at that time.
How old were you when your father was nifter?
I had just turned 20 a week before. I had my Simchas Torah. And it was our anniversary. He would say to me, "Happy anniversary," and then and it was amazing. He went to London, and oh my God, I'm really gonna cry. He went to London. It was my first time not traveling with him in 10 months. I was with him like nonstop with such joy and such ferocity and such just fierce protectiveness. We were so close at that point. He shared a lot with me, and in fact, I'm very excited that I've been writing a book. Please God, I should have the courage to really speak, all of my adventures, but
Amen.
all of this is definitely part of it. What I learned from leaving the place that I thought I was learning the most about myself to be with someone who taught me how to really look at the world. And yeah, there it
Wow.
was.
I'm like, so as someone who, who's who like has grown up with with your father's like music everywhere, sung everywhere. I've like heard pieces of this story, and like also Greg Wall is a dear family friend, and I remember like I think he played also with you at some point, but
I love
I don't
Greg.
think I ever realized until right now, and hearing you say that you were like 20 years old when this happened, which is like such a young age, to like lose your father, but then also like you talk about the schlepping, the carrying of the luggage, both the physical and like emotional and spiritual that has been thrust upon you as a young woman. Um, that's very like power. It's a very powerful image. I'm just
Thank you.
thinking about that.
I
Well,
don't think I ever saw myself that way, actually. I was so glad that I went to the gym at 4 a.m., in college, it gave me all those muscles because there was no rolly bags in those days. It was just those, like, the big valise. And he would carry libraries. He didn't even have clothes. He just brought books. Everywhere we went, it was these heavy, heavy books and cake. I swear to God. He would travel with Entenmann's, with boxes of Entenmann's. It was awesome. Not so good, but hilarious.
um,
He was a kid.
wow. I'm so much, it's such a powerful. I can't wait to read the book. Like, but I feel it's such a powerful story of becoming. You know, no offense to First Lady like Obama, um, of like being thrust with like this story to and like song to literally be like the spokesperson for. Um, did you think about it in that way, or was it like, oh, now I'm just going to take over all of my dad's gigs?
I don't, I think many things. I think I was really blessed not to think. Because had I sat down to think, I probably would have made different choices. But I knew several things. I knew that my father was gone. I knew that my life as I knew it was over. Um, I knew that the grief. I knew that if we sang hard enough, that Mashiach would come. So my only shot at bringing him back was to sing. That was it. That was the only shot I would have. And I knew that my family was suddenly bankrupt because he had no, oh my God, like he was not connected to this world in that sense. And so I had to work. And so then also I say Baruch Hashem for, everything that happens in life, there's a silver lining. But the very first show that I did was 30 days after, it was like one day after the Shloshim. Literally one day after the Shloshim, and he had had a concert in Florida, and they called and said, we gave a deposit, and you either give us a show or you have to give us X thousands of dollars. Which, as I reflect, is so cruel when someone suddenly dies, and here's, my mom and her two daughters, and
Yeah.
oh my God, like what he owed was just like, oh my God. And then I was like, no, okay, I'm out. I'm going. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the show. So they didn't want to print new tickets. So they just put a sticky on top of the first name. So it was like,
Really?
yeah, so it was like the tickets were like Neshama with like, it was a pink ticket. It was like all Miami style. And then they had, I guess whoever, they weren't very careful, but sometimes it was like Nishlomo, like, like half my name, half his name. The Carlebach there. And there I was on the road. And then once I did one, I had taken on, people were asking who's going to do this, who's going to do this. So I had to support my family. So I said yes. And I think it was like the second day of Shiva. I'm like, okay, I guess okay. And then years were passing, and I was doing, many shows a week. I was losing myself in the singing as opposed to really mourning properly. And I literally sang and sang and sang, weekly until I became a mom. You
Mm.
know, I didn't stop for years and years. And I went through different permutations of appreciating the work, hating the work, loving life, hating life, being just engulfed by my own loneliness. And running around and meeting people who had all these, you know, people. I meet people, they think they know me. You know, they don't know me. Nobody knew me, and I didn't know me until I
Right,
think pretty actually.
right. It's like right, it's like being stopped at a show by like a most loving, you know, Bubby and Zaidi who says that they know you from, you know, Mizman, and how you've grown, and meanwhile you're like, you know, just become a bat mitzvah.
No, but
Right.
you're always like, oh, of course, I'm so
Of
happy to see
course,
you.
of course, of course. Okay, so speaking of talking, maybe you'll sing a little bit if you're
Okay.
if, yeah.
What should I sing?
Um
You tell me.
can you sing? By the way, even though you'll be the one singing, I'm saying can we sing, because that's the effect of your music. Like
As
you it
long as
just
you
gets no, 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 I'm totally gonna mute myself because on Zoom it's a terrible thing when anyone tries to sing with anyone else. And we all want to hear you sing, but that's the effect of the music. It has like a we effect. People want to sing. How about Don't Let Me Go?
Oh, so you're like mamish diving in deep with all this. Okay, I will do Don't Let Me Go. This is my business partner, Jackie's favorite song, and I think Jackie's there, and I love you very much.
Thank you, Jackie.
Um, this is King David's, I guess it's a perfect moment for in our conversation. King David is writing, and he feels um, disconnected from his own nevuah, from his own prophecy, from his own essence. And he screams to God, I'm a good guy. Don't you remember? Don't you remember me? I have a pure heart. You gave me all these awesome things. Al tashlicheni milfanecha. Don't send me from you. Don't cast me away. Don't take your holiness from me. And when we were creating this with our producer, with the woman who wrote this gorgeous music, Beth Stiles, when we were collaborating, I asked my husband, the holy Rabbi Menachem, I asked him, I have to
Shlita,
say holy.
Shlita.
I asked him, how do you translate this tefillah, this prayer? And he said, don't let me go.
Mm,
And I think it's a fascinating thing when you're begging somebody not to leave you, you don't often think of your own worth. I think we've all had those moments where we feel that God has broken up with us. You know, like, God, don't, come on. Look at all these things you gave me, you know, people who are not well, people who are davening. And I really feel that this is an empowerment song. It's a heavy song because
mhm.
it's deep. It's heavy because we all understand in some way or another what it feels like to walk in sorrow and to feel cut off from ourselves. I mean, pandemic aside, you know, virtual life aside, even before this, I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of reasons why we've walked feeling disconnected. Maybe it's more pronounced now, but I can only speak for me. I definitely have walked through my life sometimes feeling very disconnected, and so blessed to have to now be ready to say to God, don't let me go. This is who I am, and I'm standing in my own grounded energy, wanting to scream for something better to happen. So we're very good at being martyrs and giving in, and you know, and all those things that we've done wrong. Maybe it's the moment now for us to have a little chutzpah and just scream something different to the universe. So this is don't let me go. So you have to tell me if you can hear me, darling.
Okay.
Is it good? Thank you. Thanks, my brother. It means something to sing to you. I think you should come on all my Zoom calls. I'm just gonna sing to you from now on. I think you're muted. You're muted.
Oh my gosh, I totally am
You're
muted.
probably saying
Was I
great
muted the
things.
whole time? I was. I was saying how
muted
moved
the
I
whole
was,
time.
and how much I would love to come to. Great. Um, I was also started to say like how that those words and the way you sing it just captures, I think, like the despair of feeling alone, and not wanting to feel, whether it's depression or whether it's whatever it is. It's like it captures that ethos for me. Um, it's a painful place to.
That's what I feel.
It strikes me as like a painful and vulnerable place to occupy. To like hold that up as a banner.
And yet I have to say, that the more we're afraid of that place, the less we live.
Mm.
And I really, really believe with all of me that we are meant to hold the darkness and the light equally. And that place that we're so afraid of is actually the pathway to our redemption.
That's so deep. and I and I think an incredibly challenging task. I don't think people. I'll speak for myself. I think like it feels so hard to. How does one do that? What's the 101 of holding both in the same breath?
Amazing. I've been speaking a lot about this because I lived through it. You know, the only
Mhm.
I'm a survivor of the darkness and of that dark place of the soul. I know it well. And I don't speak with any kind of authority at all. But
But you're speaking to your experience of that
of
darkness and
course,
suffering, which is authentic and honest and true.
yes, yes. Um, how I feel is that when we all have it, we all have those places of deep, deep pain, like the monster in the closet, the thing that you're most afraid of. When that happens, and most probably in life it will happen, something, whatever it is. In that moment, if you can learn to make friends with the moment,
Mhm.
knowing that it is in your life, you are living in that moment to walk through a tunnel to another, I don't want to say another reality because it's the same reality, but a place where the colors are just a little bit brighter and the air is a little bit sweeter and where there,
Mm.
you know, you're gonna get what you need if you just don't stop and crumble. You just keep going. I say this a lot. There was an amazing when I went through my divorce, which was the beginning of my darkness. I had a series of dark moments in life. The beginning of it was my divorce. I read in Us magazine. I was a very big fan, and I think we all need that something that's gonna take us away from from other things. And the little taste of wisdom I got, there was an actress who was getting divorced, and it was a very public thing, and blah blah blah. And they said to her, "How are you surviving?" And I'll never forget this. And I thank her, and I wish I remembered who she was. So please tell me who you are, because thank you. She said, I realize that when I am at my most sad place, that it only lasts around 15 minutes. And so I walked, and I thought to myself, how brilliant is that? It's like labor, literally. You watch it, watch the clock. Okay, 5 minutes apart, for 3 minutes apart, and then you give birth to yourself. There's a
Mm.
space, but you have to be willing to breathe. You have to know it's going to hurt, and you can't be afraid. And I think, when we talk about Lola Fached Klal and the narrow bridge and what Reb Nachman said, Jackie, my business partner, and I, we talk about this all the time. It's not about not being afraid, because that's just bullshit. I'm sorry. We are all afraid. All of us. Every single one of us. The point is to go through it anyway. The
Mhm.
point is to
Mhm.
cross anyway. You cross the bridge shaking and sweating and sobbing and knowing you're not going to survive. But going back is not an option.
This is the best drush on Kol Haolam Kulo I've ever heard, first of all. Because people try to frame it in a such, but this feels like the most accurate depiction. Sorry to
Isn't
interrupt.
it though?
I
Oh, go
think
ahead,
so.
please
I think
interrupt.
no. For me. It feels like there's I remember. I think it's in. I don't know where I read this a Torah of your dad's, but of Hazorim Bedima Berina Yiktsoru. Right? We think it's like we might try to wish or imagine it were so dichotomous of, sowing in pain and tears and then reaping in joy. But and I'm probably misquoting, but there's something about that like blurring of the lines. Hazorim Bedima. Everybody knows that it's actually the work is Hazorim Bedima Berina, like sowing both in with the pain, with the joy, like all at the same time. And you reap. You will hopefully emerge, but you'll reap from that work.
Amen. I love that one. It's
Mm,
important. And I think, especially, I mean, everything is about this moment, right? Like we've all just kind of arrived at this wall. The whole world, the whole world is waiting. Now we're all just sitting
mhm,
here in our homes looking out the window, and we've all hit that wall. And it's about the sorrow and the joy. It's about the holiness and the gratitude and the despair. It's about the fear, and here we are. So
mm,
if you're living in a space where you're in denial about what's happening in the world, you're not really living. And if you're living in a place where you're so attached to the fear of the virus and the world and you forget your joy, you're also not living. So it really becomes, how do you dance at two weddings? How do you hold all parts of your heart at once and make peace and know that it's okay?
mm,
It's okay. I tell my kids that every day. It's okay that you're sad and it's okay that you're not. It's okay that
mhm,
you're really upset that you're not with your friends, and it's okay that you kind of just want to sleep in. It's okay that you miss school, and it's okay that you hate school. These are all okay things. Why do we have to only be one thing? Why were we
mm,
raised to think that we're only like to put ourselves in the box and this is who you are and this is come on, we are everything. Each
mhm,
one of us. And in every moment, it's all of it.
mhm.
There is more to us than we have allowed to emerge because we're so busy trying to paint ourselves into a corner and define what it is forget it.
Oh
We are
my
everything at all
this
times.
I feel like this is an amazing introduction into your like cover of Lauryn Hill's "Everything Is Everything."
Oh,
Oh, we're not debuting that right now.
no,
No.
I'm not doing that one, but that would be awesome. I would
um,
be intimidated, but yeah.
would you? How about something of your dad's?
Okay. So we talked about this before. I've been doing a lot of these virtual events, and I don't very much touch his music, and that is complicated for me. So we discussed this in advance that if my brother was moved to bring in a little bit of my dad, that this would be the one that I would share. This is the first time I'm actually singing with this track. I'm so grateful to my MD Seth Farber who made all these tracks for me. So this is Asher Bara, my father's wedding song, and we've paired it with Sarah Bareilles' "She Used to Be Mine" from Waitress. So first of all, Sarah is just like beyond. I pray that one day I can thank her to her eyes for the gifts that she's given me. Asher Bara for me, there's a journey around this particular song and this particular arrangement. I began to sing this song at a time in my life where I did not believe in love. And I really like to have integrity around my music and around my teaching. And there's never been a time that I have sung a song or a pasuk that I don't believe. And I didn't
Mm,
believe this one. I didn't believe it. All that stuff. Like, I don't
mm,
believe in that. Joy and gladness and best friends and, you know, unconditional love, that's just not true. And I went through my journey and really shed a lot of toxicity in my life. And then one day I woke up and it hit me that I had to marry myself.
whoa.
That this song was not about an actual wedding. This song, Asher Bara, this is about the union of our disparate parts. This is the union of all those things that we don't understand, that maybe we don't like, that we judge. It's about making peace with ourselves and marrying ourselves. And then when I went through that moment, I listened again to "She Used to Be Mine." And when I
Mm,
spoke to my MD, who's my pianist of many years, who was so brilliant, he's like, okay, it's one thing. So he made this crazy arrangement. And it was literally like I realized that the Asher Bara part of me, that part of me that needed to believe in the prayer, the part of me that didn't believe in love anymore, that also wasn't me anymore.
mm,
By the time I started to sing it, it already had passed me by. I had already come through that tunnel. And it was only when I really began to understand that marrying me and loving me and trusting me, standing by me and not leaving myself out. You ever do that? You're like, you join everyone else's voice and you leave yourself behind. I did that my whole life.
This strikes me as the most also like resonant like understanding of what the Stichli Leolam means. Like every day when we rap like tefillin and those psukim that get recited, those verses that get recited, like I will wed you to me in justice, righteousness, mercy, like who are we talking to there? So I love that Torah of needing of that being one's personal work first before that becomes partnered.
Yes, because
Really.
until you can't really relate to anyone. You can't relate to God. You can't really relate. There has to be a place where you fit, even if you don't put yourself first. I know that's hard, especially for parents. You got to fit in the puzzle somewhere. You have to have a space that's yours, where you really just accept who you are and love you, also, and marry you also. I mean, I don't mean to get into this, like, you don't have to go crazy ego-y. You just, because you still have to be a mensch, mensch first, but without being extreme. So this was the song that changed my life, and I started singing it, and then I got engaged to somebody who moved me. To one of my closest friends, a friend of over a decade who I had gone through all these journeys with, who was that friend who reminded me to marry myself. And how blessed am I? So this is like, it's a song with all kinds of guideposts. And I feel really great offering this one because no matter what it is that people think of my father, this one is mine. So it's all here. Can you hear? Asher bara sason v'simcha, sason v'simcha, chatanu v'kala. Asher bara sason v'simcha, sason v'simcha, chatanu v'kala. Gilarina ditsa, ditsa v'chedba, ava, ava le'achva, v'shalom, v'shalom, v'reya. Hashem bara sason v'simcha, sason v'simcha. If you want to sing along, come on. Hashem bara sason v'simcha, sason v'simcha, chatanu v'kala. Gilarina ditsa, ditsa v'chedba, ava, ava le'achva, v'shalom, v'shalom v'reya. Everybody. Nine, 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 nine. It's not simple to say that most days I don't recognize me. These shoes and this apron, that place and its patrons have taken more than I gave them. It's not easy to know that I'm not anything like I used to be. Although it's true, I was never attention's sweet center. I still remember that girl. She's imperfect, but she tries. And she is lonely most of the time. She's all that mixed up and baked in a beautiful pie. She is gone, but she used to be mine.
Has that ever been played before?
On the air, no. I've done it live.
This is amazing.
Thank you. It's my first time ever singing with this track. We have shortened it tremendously because apparently the Zoom attention is much less, so it's actually much longer. I was like, oh my God, what part now? Oh my God. I'm so glad you like it. I love that one.
So this is also where you announce that when Waitress reopens, you will be re-entering in that role in that lead role.
Oh my God, what did you know? That would be insane. Insane. That was my first dream.
Right.
My first dream. We
Um,
have many.
so the I guess I was gonna ask you a question around like what sounds besides like your father's music, like what was the soundtrack for you growing up? Like what was the type of music that you heard? Because I well, I won't say my because yet.
No, no, say. Say it.
Well, I mean, it's what I so loved about this your like collaborations with the gospel choirs because it bridges worlds that for me like as a listener as I feel perfectly comfortable feel like a strong spiritual connection in but it feels like what you're putting out there is one of the first types of blendings of those universes.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. That I can be blending with Pastor Milton Van and with my brothers and sisters who I sing with is it is absolutely one of the privileges of my lifetime. They are tremendous, and I became connected to my own tefillah, to my own place in my own Judaism when I began to sing with them.
Mhm.
Strangely enough, and it took me a long time to find my own kavana, my own intention within my own longing, and really to put it out into the world. And they taught me so much. Growing up, I listened to everything from Sting, the Police, Michael Jackson, Def Leppard. You know what I'm saying? Aerosmith. I still, when I'm cooking for Shabbos, Menachem wants like soft Shabbos music. I'm like Aerosmith. Roses. He's like, you're making a challah right now, right? It's what I need. So
How like
influence.
armies, Menachem. It's just how armies prepare for Shabbos. To like Aerosmith, you know.
I think I'm like big rock and roll girl on the inside. Big loud guitars. The louder the better. Um, Gospel for sure just moves me to my essence. And I'm always searching for new things to move me, and my children move me. My little boy Micah is
Hey
um,
Louis.
a tremendous artist. He's 9, and he's playing 3 to 5 hours a day in this pandemic. And he had a big meltdown with his brother. I mean, like they're just together all the time, and he literally it was amazing. He stopped and he went upstairs and wrote a song. Oh my God, I wish I had had that skill at 9, to like he tunes into himself,
Mhm.
to see himself. My older son is a prodigy drummer, and he runs from it. I think that's a longer story, but I'm trying to be that, the mom that lets him have his space. But there's so much music in our home, and I hope that they feel a little bit of like the joy of all the massive amounts of influences that we bring.
Was like I mean I've heard his Beatle cover like he's definitely in a Louis but to the extent that he's able to channel into music I mean he has a pretty strong model his two strong models at home of people who do that who do
Thank you.
that work.
Although, let me tell you, like he wants to go Facebook. He's like, let's go live. Let's go live. He would go live every day, like without stopping. And I
It's
so,
amazing.
and especially now, like I want him to grow. And I'm sure you feel this way about your kids. Like, how do you give them the world, but also teach them humility? How
Mhm.
do you praise
Mhm.
them to the end of the world, but also teach them that they have to work.
Yes.
So it's a balance. And
Mm.
I haven't figured it out. Working
I
every
feel like
day, every day.
I feel like him putting out though Beatles covers is part of that work, his work. It's like that was pretty
Yes.
exceptional for how old is he again?
9. He's 9.
9.
Y'all can go to my page if you want to see it. It's we did 2 Beatles songs. So he's ready. He wants
And
yesterday. He's like, come on, let's go.
did you see the Aretha Franklin documentary? The recent Aretha Franklin doc? You did not.
Me too.
It's
Oh my God, but
incredible.
I need.
You should totally see it. And you know, your talk about like the gospel influence in your own music. For me, it's like I'm remembering of just like moved um how moved I was in that, like watching that and like feeling like I was in the middle of like a religious like service. um
Yeah.
so there's a story about like, right, like your dad going into churches and feeling the like electricity of their davening, right, and thirsting for that in in our own like shuls and spaces. um,
Yes. Yes. Aren't we all just thirsty for more? We've got a lot to learn from our brothers and sisters.
yeah.
They know God. They God is not far for my Baptist brothers and sisters. They touch God. They hold God every day
Hmm.
in a way that I'm envious.
Hmm.
God to me has been, in and out of my life. I'm always longing, but I'm not necessarily holding tight. And they taught me that that's possible. And they taught me that song brings me there. They were the ones who taught me that.
Hmm.
Oh my God. I'm so glad you felt that from my work. I miss that tremendously. That collaboration, that togetherness.
um I'm mindful of our time, and I so want to hear this. I mean, the song that you were telling me your reverend friend composed. Spirit, is it called Spirit?
Oh, that one? It's called Spirit. So should I do that one or should I do one of mine? Help me brainstorm for a minute.
Well, maybe. What are you thinking?
I don't know. Um, you want the new one or do you want the Hear Our Prayer? What's your
Oh,
feeling? You
here.
call it.
Oh, I don't know. Which is the one that you got an award for too? Because we should
Oh, thank
acknowledge this
you.
too, and we should acknowledge and we should celebrate this too, because it's worthwhile,
We're gonna have to
right?
walk into another Zoom, my brother. We're gonna have to do more of these.
Okay, we can do a part two. But we
Okay.
should we should definitely need to do a part two. But at the very least, let's finish with yes with one of your songs,
Okay.
singer's choice.
Okay. So I will share. I'll share "Believe." Actually, you know what? I'm feeling "Hear Our Prayer" right now. If that's okay. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
done
yeah.
this with my boy, but this is Beth Stiles sent me the track from the recording, and I'm hoping you all can hear. This Zoom is it's such a funny sound platform. I'm not used to it at all. I'm just praying and navigating with you, so hopefully you can hear everything. Hear Our Prayer is a song that she wrote. It was a Mishaberach that she had written. And she was gracious enough to allow me to funk it up and change it up. And then in the middle is a little piece of my father's nigun from Hine El Yeshuati from Havdalah. Because when you're talking about the darkness and the light, that Hine El Yeshuati has been my sustaining nigun my whole, since I had my own awakening, since I woke up to what I could be. That has been my nigun, my heart song. So that song is in here. It's a prayer for healing. We need it so desperately in our world. I just want this virus to go away. I just want us to be okay. I just want all these people to be well. And I want us to start over in a way that really brings dignity and love to our children. And I'm just praying all the time. So this is Hear Our Prayer, and let us say Amen. We hope that you all join us in the nigun part. That's the part where you insert your longing. That's it. The nigun is the place without words where you sing what's, the tears of your soul come out in the nigun. So here it is. Hope you all sing. Hold on. Start again. Ah, got cut off. May we be blessed. May we be blessed. Oh, hear our prayer. May we be known. May we be heard. Please hear our prayer. Ooh, and let us say amen. May we be blessed. May we be blessed. Oh, please hear our prayer. May we be known. May we be heard. Please hear our prayer. May the source of life, who bless the ones before us, heal us now. Send us healing light to shine upon us. Oh, heal us now, and let us say amen. 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 Let us say amen. 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 Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. May the source of life, who bless the ones before us, heal us now. Bring us healing light to shine upon us. Oh, heal us now. Let us say amen. 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 Everybody. Na 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 na. Na 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 say amen.
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 Amen. Amen. Amen. Neshama, thank you so much for being here tonight and for taking all those gigs on however many years ago and growing up, in the public eye and showing us how to grow up and love in that place as well, and for your heart and your Torah and music that is like lighting up the internet right now, and the world definitely needs more of. So thank you for that hope and joy.
I love you and I thank you. You guys are family for us, and this was delightful. I'm so glad to spend this moment with you and with all of you. And thank you for listening, and thank you for asking. And I'm going to go write more of my book now. I'm feeling
Amen.
maybe I got to talk. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thanks, Neshama.
So much love. Be well. I'm
Peace. Love to the fam. Bye.
back. Bye.